A lot of what we do in schools is rugby-based training, but it's more about capturing sort of the kids at the age where they're just developing, but it's more the movements of rugby. But we use various skills that they teach us: coordination, balance, and also firing up motor skills that they need as they grow and develop. We've established that there are phases of development through the age groups, and we try and capture those phases and really work on the fundamentals that will help the child develop. And so that's been key for our. We just use rugby as a vehicle to drive these our coaching and initiatives. Yeah. Coming from an elite background of playing elite sports, professional sports, to coaching professionally and internationally, that you deal with that high-end, high-performing teams, to coaching high-performance players, to then being a director of sports for 7 years at Repton School, where I am having to deal with year ones all the way up to year three. So, and actually finding out myself that there is an element of development that kids are missing through our system, not doing it properly. The PE area needs to probably just evolve a bit with the way that children are, the mental well-being of a child. How do I become more inclusive in my lessons? And to include the kid that hates it, the non-sporty, what I call the low ability. Then I have we got the low ability plus, and you got the low ability minus. You got the low ability who they lack ability, but they try hard. Mm-hmm. Then you got the low ability who would say to you, "Look, sir, I suck," and I'd rather read a book on the sideline than participate because I get frustrated, and everybody would get frustrated with me. And then you got your sports jock, the kid who's overly competitive, sulks when he's losing, and always wants to be in the winning team. And then you got average Joe. He's competent, does everything right, makes the B teams, sometimes makes the A teams, but works hard. And then you got the all-sporting gifted one, the sports Billy, who is, in my mind, is probably the best athlete and also the most considerate athlete, who also is conscious about other kids' ability and is also accounts for that and is very respectful. And so there's so many kids in your PE lessons, but how do we cater for everybody? How do we cater for the ones that I hate, I suck, and I don't want to be here? And also cater for the ones who is, I want to win all the time. So their teachers and coaches need to change their thinking and how do I meet everybody's requirements? And people will say, well, you can't meet. I said, well, you can. You can. And I guess part of my speech on Wednesday would be sort of covering that area through experience, my experience, and that's how I coach my coaches. I coach my coaches to have more empathy and a lot more compassion for the people that they coach and for the kids, but also having that discernment to see that in children, and to also how to sort of capture the kids who are not sporty and make them enjoy it. At the end of the day, it's got to be fun. If it's not fun, then I don't want to be there. You can't die if you don't learn math. You can't die if you don't know much about history, about the past, and you can't die whether you know anything about sort of English. But you can die if you don't know about sort of well-being and health. Looking after your body. It's amazing how some of the people who hated PE back then are going to gyms and wish they had learnt a lot more. But that's because the system didn't teach them that. I think the old school system was always based on, it's military. You went out there, you did 1,500 meters, you did 800 meters. I hated that stuff. I wanted a little bit more fun. I'm a PE I loved PE when I was a kid. But if you got me to, if PE was about doing press-ups and running around the field doing laps, I didn't want to be there. You know, I wanted some more engagement with teachers and engagement with others. But PE teaches you a lot more about resilience, about competition without being over-competitive. But it teaches you how to play as a team, sportsmanship, you know, teamwork, how to be a team player, roles and responsibility within that structured team environment. Because when you leave school and you go to work, you're required to work as a team. Regardless of what place that you sit within that company, you are a position and you have a role to play. Just like, and I often use sports as a metaphor, a sports team as a metaphor for to understand life and teamwork and all that you now experience in the working environment. And often people don't look at it that way. They just see it, sports, you know, it's just for jocks who just want to go there and play. But there's a lot of learnings within that environment. And so for me, that's why I encourage kids to do sports, encourage them to, it's okay to fail. Support them on it. It's all right to fail because success comes on the back of failure. And that's where they don't learn that. You don't learn that in the normal subjects. And you don't learn that respect and support for each other in normal subjects. Also, I feel that there's a lot now to do with mental well-being of a child, mental well-being of adults. You know, the suicide rate is so high, you know, in so many countries around, you know, that between the ages of 10 to 15, there's so much. I forgot what the stats are in the UK, but also in New Zealand, it's quite high. It's giving it's helping meeting those kids at that point and saying, look, we're here and we understand, but sometimes the sporting environment encourages that support through teamship. And I watch kids on the sports field when they're away from parents in PE classes, you know, good PE classes embraces everybody and everybody walks off with a smile. And when I look back, I think I had a really great department, but that came on the back of my department fully understanding what our visions were, and where we set goals for our department when I was the director of sports, and I said, look, this is what we want to, these are our objectives, this is what we want to meet. And it's not about us, it's not about the school, it's about the child. If we take the child out of it and just think of us as that we're just doing a job, then that's when we go wrong. I said, whereas we put the child first and we put them at the centre of everything we organise, then I think that's where we'll go right. I see it in my kids when they were growing up, you know, being disappointed not making the team. I said, what are you going to do in order to make the team? I've got to work harder. And I said, well, life is all about working harder. You know, it's not going to... The way that this generation thinks now, I think it's give it to me on a plate, you know, and a lot of that is because of technology and everything and the way that we think nowadays, you know. The generation previous was all about hard work, but we need to sort of meet the two at somewhere and teach them those transferable skills a lot earlier. And sport is a subject that teaches you, well, that helps you mentally, physically, psychologically, you know, and that helps you sort of spiritually, and having that spiritual awareness of people around you. And people go, spiritually, ooh, that's kind of a word that means religious. And I said, no, spiritually is having that awareness of people around you, having that respect and having a culture of love and appreciation for people. And if you don't have that, if you don't get taught that, and then that's why I always say to kids, and I said, we're in it together. We're all going to learn. And my lessons were always self-directed. I always put you in charge, giving the kids in charge, making the kids. Our academy, going back when I was developing the academy, I said, often people go, okay, this is what it's going to look like, this is what we're going to do. And I said, well, why don't we ask the kids first, what do they like? We can insert those skill sets in there, but let's ask the child, what do you like? Oh, we like games, we like fun, we like things. Okay, we'll incorporate that within our program so that we meet both ways, subtly giving them those skill sets, but at the same time giving them fun. And I think that's the enjoyment at the same time. When they enjoy things, they learn quicker, and that's why, I'm a believer in that saying that Benjamin Franklin, said, you tell me something, I will forget. If you show me, I may remember. But if you involve me, I will learn. And I think, and that's the greatest saying. That's my coaching philosophy is based on that saying, that if you involve me, I will learn quicker. So a lot of my coaching is more about self-directed, getting them to do it, and then helping them through feedback and indirect coaching. So, and I think that's important. But teaching is very different to coaching. People say, oh, well, teaching is coaching. I said, no, teaching is teaching somebody new skills they've never known before, or something, new information. Whereas coaching is taking something they already know, they may know of, and expanding it and making them sort of grow in that area. And so I'm a bit of both, because I've done coaching and teaching. Now I just facilitate. So I think that's the key to a lot of where we need to be when coaching and teaching. I think the key is all I'm trying to do is trying to make awareness of empathy and compassion in everything. It doesn't matter whether it's be teaching. I think it's in everything, in every area of life and work. Leadership is about having that empathy to understand the team that's under your care as a leader, and that's all I try and do with my coach. I coach the national. I was coaching the national team yesterday, which are all expats. We compete overseas, and we had 24 players there yesterday. And it's only our second training session this year, and I just said to them, okay, today, what do you want to do? And a couple of guys weren't feeling well, and they're going to push through. And I said, listen, sit out. Want you well for the next week. And it's about giving them the voice at the same time, rather than me just barking the orders. But yeah, it's having the empathy. It's the same with the. I'm a big. I'm running a golf day in April. It's to do with mental health, which is something big on my heart at the moment. It's about, it's okay to talk, and it's okay that it's the biggest. I said, look, we all go through those struggles. It doesn't matter whether it's little or big. We've got to be able to talk. But if you don't create that environment of empathy and compassion, no one will talk. So what I want to take away is that kids won't talk to you if your environment that you create is not conducive to that. And so when I've taught and I've coached kids, they're able to come up to me and say, sir, I'm struggling. I have kids now. The reason why I'm so big on mental health is that I've had kids coming up to me and tell me their problems. Tell me their problems. I'm not making the team. Why? He says, just that I'm not enjoying it. Why are you not enjoying it? I don't get on. The coach doesn't like me. Mum and dad are pressuring me. On the way back home after a game, mum and dad, or dad, all he does is just criticize the things that I do. I don't want to play anymore. But those kids are voicing to me Why? Because I've created an environment, and they voice their problems onto my coaches, because our coaches, we show love through saying, how are you? We're always acknowledging those kids. We shake hands, we high five our kids, we always we greet them, we say goodbye to them by looking them straight in the eye. Every session I go to, every child shakes my hand before they leave, and they shake my hand when they arrive. Why? Because this to let me know that I'm here, I'm ready to work, and I'm ready to enjoy my time with you. And when they leave and they say, thank you, I've really enjoyed my time with you. And I always say, look, love seeing you. I can't wait to see you again next week. And it's that environment that you create. And I said the messaging is not just for school kids, it's for adults, it's for the working environment. It's the environment that you're in, You know, bad bosses are just like bad coaches, unfortunately. No one ever leaves a job because they hate the job. They just hate the coach. Or they hate, But most players leave clubs because they hate the coach. They don't get on with the coach. It's not because they're dropping, and that's what happens in the working environment. People leave jobs because they don't get on with their leaders. And that's why I say leaders are so important. And it's not leadership when it's a dictatorship.